Welcome to Lift Your Leg. This is Monique Anstey from the Naughty Dog in Victoria, BC, author of As a Dog Thinketh.
And Jill Brown from Calgary, Alberta, the bag lady.
Today we are just talking dogs. I've sent all my dogs home. I'm ready for the Christmas holidays. And my musings of the week. I have two dogs here right now, neither of them that will pee and poo in public. And both of them for very, very different reasons. I got to thinking about it of the recipe trainers. What are they going to do for this? Because there ain't no recipe for this until you know what you're dealing with. This is Maui in the background singing to everyone. Shut up, Maui. He has many opinions. So one of the dogs is a young cattle dog. He's the dog that poops in the car every time he goes somewhere. So I've had him for a while, and getting him to pee and poo in public has been the goal of his board and train. And this Monday, he peed twice and pooped, and I was celebrating my day. So that's what got me thinking about this, and just how I've gotten him there. And okay.
I want to know how, because
It's been a long process. So this dog is a very sensitive dog. And by sensitive, I mean he takes in all the surrounding world into his soul, and it affects him.
this
And
is a
then
cattle dog.
yes, this is a cattle dog. And then he worries about it. I think a lot of cattle dogs are this way. All the herding breeds, I think. Most of the herding breeds are this way. So they get very affected by sensory input going on around them, and they take it into their souls, and it then affects them. So for this dog, it came out in anger. My job as trainer with him is teaching him what to do with his feelings. It's not about teaching a behavior or anything like that. It's just teaching him how to cope with the world and how to keep it in and not let it overwhelm him.
You're trying to help him learn how to deal with all these feelings. Are
The,
you are
the
you
training goal is getting him to pee and poo in public, but in order for him to be able to do that, he has to learn how to feel safe in public, which means learning to do with all these feelings he has.
so are you giving him a different acceptable outlet for when he's feeling overwhelmed, or are you just telling him deal with it but don't be a jerk?
That's
Like
a
is
really that's a really good question. There's 2 times only that I've told him to deal with it and not be a jerk, and both of those were when he tried to bite me. So one was early this week when he didn't want to go into the crate at nighttime,
right?
and the other time was on the park bench when I was brushing him. So both of those were scenarios that he knows, the crate, he knows how to deal with it. He's done it lots.
Mhm.
The bench was new for him, but was the next little push forwards of something that he was able to cope with.
Okay. Is there something you can do though? Is there something you can give him to use as an outlet when he's in that situation? Like just popping off the top of my head, if he feels like he wants to bite you, can he grab the leash instead?
I'm asking him to sit still on a bench.
Okay. So you're just saying accept what's happening,
Yes.
grow up and learn how to deal with it. Okay.
In that context, he needs to just suck it up.
Okay.
But there was enough primary work done that he was able to. And after his initial hissy fit of "you can't do this to me," he actually sat nicely for half an hour and relaxed and chilled.
Okay.
Then his homework that week was for his dad to do the same, and he came back a better dog for it. And dad said he was easy to do it with him.
Okay. You and I talked about him a while ago, I think when he first arrived. But
Yes.
I just had another question that popped into my head. You said that he won't pee or poop in public, but he was always going in the kennel, in the vehicle. With how you described his introduction to the kennel and sliding around in the back of the truck, is it that he won't poop in public, or by the time he gets to public, he doesn't have to go because he's already gone in his crate? Is the stress of his crate just making him go and then he doesn't have to go when he's in public?
He hasn't pooped in my car since I've gotten him,
Right?
but I also couldn't get him to poop in public either.
Okay. So he wasn't necessarily empty when he's with you. He's just not going when he's out there.
He's not empty, he's just not going.
Yeah.
And then when I finally got him to poop, he was going in my building. That were the beginning ones. But when I actually got him to poop outside for the very first time, I woke up at 4 in the morning hearing him squeak in his crate
Yeah.
and then let him out and he pooped. And then that's happened several times now that he's woken me up at 4 a.m. and I've let him out. But you are partly right, I think, because he is pooping in his crate overnight. He has done that once a week while he's been here. He's pooped in his crate overnight.
Yeah. So
So
I feel like part of the issue is going back to the beginning, like you said, he's got this anxiety associated with his crate, which can bring on pooping, just the stress and anxiety. I had a little dog years ago that when I took her to the vet clinic, I worked there, so I could do this, but I would walk in the front door, I'd go through the clinic and out the back door. And by the time we reached the back door, she was pooping just from the stress of it. But it's interesting with him because you say that he takes on all of this environmental stuff going on, which should cause stress, but it's not causing him to poop. He's just holding, he's a real interesting case that way.
I think the poop of the car says more about panic. That's panic
Yeah.
and total overwhelm and not being able to hold it in, literally.
Yeah.
So it's just coming out in preparation for like true adrenaline of where am I going?
Yeah.
That's proper fear. Whereas in public, you don't see fear like that in him. You see really uncomfortable.
Okay.
And he's getting better and better all the time as we're going along here. Like initially his tail was always in penis tail mode.
Hmm.
This week I was walking him around a residential neighborhood with his dad on a busy road. So there was lots of cars going past us and we're on the sidewalk and his tail was out and a nice curve down from his spine. So it wasn't up. And being a cocky young cattle dog, I'd rather see it higher.
Hmm.
But it also wasn't tucked or a fearful tail in any way. So he's getting more and more confident as we're going through here.
Okay. So what are your next steps with him?
This week, I started asking him to share the front seat of the car.
Yeah.
I had 2 cattle dogs on my front seat.
Oh dear. Here we go.
And it's so funny. One's a previous board and train, and I always think they end up becoming the best teachers for the young dogs coming in.
Yeah.
So my current cattle dog looked so uncomfortable on the front seat, like he was just trying to be melded into the back there. And prior board and train gave him a bit of space and then gradually just sat on him as we went. And now they're very comfortable together, the 2 of them. It's quite nice. So that's been one big step because that's teaching him to have way less boundaries and be more comfortable with his space being encroached and all of that good stuff that normal pet dogs don't even think twice about.
Okay.
That's been a big piece for him. This week, we also did a whole lot of off-leash hikes every day. Oh, it was wonderful watching his joy. This week, he managed to find his joy. Those places that I was once taking him that he would kind of like march along behind me looking sad. And eventually he learned how to sniff the ground and start to look like an uncomfortable dog going to these new places. And now he's found his joy and he's running in these ridiculous, crazy, happy circles where he's just galloping and galloping. It was adorable. And I have to tell you, like, when you're out there watching a dog do this, it's the ultimate joy. Because this is a dog that's never really had his happiness out in public. And
Yeah.
now he has it. Not as public, but we are off property. We're hiking.
Yeah.
with other dogs, and he's just joyous. And so he's peeing and pooing out there too, which is wonderful. Such a good feeling. And we're still a long ways to go because the end goal is they need him to pee and poo so they can take him downtown to work with them.
So he has to learn. He has to learn to go on leash before he goes downtown.
He has to learn to go on leash. Yeah, I know. I don't know if it's possible.
Ah,
I
yeah.
don't know if it's possible or if it's a good quality of life for this dog because he hates that. Like that noise, that traffic, he takes all of that inside of him and holds it in there. And it really affects him.
Hmm.
These poor
Interesting.
sensitive herding breeds.
I have also had dogs that just, even stable dogs that weren't worried about anything going on around them, that wouldn't potty on a leash. So if they're,
This might be my second board and train of this week.
yeah,
I have a young Labrador puppy. He's delightful. He's wild and monstrous and naughty and won't poo on a leash or pee. But you get him out, you're trying to potty him, he won't go. And for him, it's a completely different scenario. And this is so much where recipes would fail you. For this dog, his person has injured themselves. So, right when they got him as a baby, isn't that Murphy's Law? Isn't that
yeah,
just how things happen?
yep,
So, you get your prized puppy, you can't wait to get them, and then you injure yourself. So, he's been on one leg since with this bad little puppy that's just getting bigger and faster. It's been one of those of get the puppy outside, potty him, bring him on back in the house
yeah,
because owner can't walk. And this dog has learned as soon as he pees and poos, the fun is over.
yep,
Completely different scenarios. For this young puppy, I'm outlasting him or trying to out there. And he will poo. And when he poos, there can be no movement from me, no hands going in my pocket for a poo bag, like nothing, because any excuse and he'll abort mission.
yep,
Just standing and waiting and waiting and waiting, let him do his thing. And then I can pick it up, tell him he's a good boy. And I must walk in the opposite direction of the car.
yep,
And that hopefully will start getting him going easier and easier.
yeah.
Is that what you experienced with your young dog?
I've had both. I've had one that just, it wasn't a young dog. It was just, she just wouldn't potty on leash. If I took the leash off, she'd happily go, but she just wouldn't when she was tethered to me. But I've also had one like you described, and we could go on a 2 3 hour off leash run down by the river, and he would do nothing until we got home into the backyard, and then he'd go. So I'm
Did you
not,
raise that dog as a puppy?
I got that dog when he was about 6 months old,
So
and he
I
was,
think a lot of dogs are taught to only go at home.
and this dog was, he was an SPCA dog, and
Oh, same thing then.
up until they're 6 months of age, they don't take them out because they're worried. At least this was the rule back then. They were worried about them contracting parvo. Don't get me started on that. So he learned that he could only potty in his kennel to get out. And then somehow that carried over to when I had him. He didn't potty outside of the, he would go in the backyard, but he wouldn't go out on a walk.
Yeah.
Funny when they just get these thoughts in their head.
Reggie was the same when I got him, my last competition dog. And I think another one, he'd been to multiple homes and he was a pain in the ass when I got him. I think people would have him out, he'd potty, he'd go back in his crate or his
Yeah,
kennel, wherever he was going. He learned, don't do it. Don't waste your precious time outside. Hold on to it, man.
yeah, yeah,
It's funny the things we teach them without intending to teach them. Going back to my cattle dog of these highly sensitive dogs that take in all of their environment and then they don't know what to do with it. So generally it comes out in teeth. I think this type of dog is all the weirdos that I say that I love to work with. And what they're doing is taking in the stimuli of the world around them and they just can't cope with it. And then it comes out in dysfunctional ways.
yeah,
These truly are my favorite dogs to train. I love working with these dogs. And with these dogs, I had always thought of them as introverts. Only Leppy never fit this word because he wasn't. Leppy was an extrovert. So I was always stuck. How does this fit with Leppy? Other than the fact that he was feral, but all of this stuff affected him so greatly. Yet he was never an introvert. And
But
I
wait,
think now it's more like a sensitivity, like these are just highly sensitive individuals where they're picking up everything from the world around them outside and they don't know how to deal with it when it gets in there.
but do you not think that there's a difference between sensitive dogs and fearful dogs?
There is a difference.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Do you not? To me, I think that Leppy was more a fearful dog because of his upbringing. He had to be on the lookout for anything that was going to come booting up his ass because he was a street dog. So there was always the lookout for what was the next bad thing to happen. He strikes me more as a fearful dog than a sensitive dog.
I would say Rupert was a fearful dog.
Yeah,
Rupert's not a highly sensitive dog.
agreed. I feel the same with Sizzle. She's very fearful. I don't feel like she's sensitive.
Oh no, I think Sizzle's sensitive.
I don't.
Okay.
Leppy, I feel like he's more fearful than sensitive.
I think we have to solve the Sizzle mystery first on this one. It's so hard now when you suddenly think of something for the first time in this way. Sizzle, loud sounds.
Terrify her. But she will startle and then she'll go, oh, it was just that.
Tight spaces to be an issue.
Used to. Not anymore.
It
Still,
used to be an issue. And
still,
I think
still
with a
is.
fearful dog, those aren't issues necessarily.
That's still an issue with her with other dogs. If she's going to explode, it will be because she's in a tight space with other dogs around. But she's not like things don't. Hmm.
Think back when, don't think now. So think back. I never saw a dog with her tail tucked between her legs. I saw a dog who responded to stimuli from the outside world, which to me makes her sensitive and didn't know how to cope with what she was dealing with. A fearful dog is always just a bit more subdued, submissive, sweet.
I'm not sure that we'll ever figure Sizzle out.
I think I have her figured out now.
Or-
To me, Sizzle is highly sensitive. She isn't fearful. What fearful dogs do we know? None really in our world. But to me, a fearful dog's always just a bit more subdued, polite, always worried about stepping on someone's toes. Like they're just very, let me hide a little bit in the background. That was never Sizzle. Sizzle just couldn't cope with certain things.
See, in the way you just described that, that sounds more like a sensitive dog to me than a fearful one. Sizzle would panic. If we walked through a door and the door moved behind her, total panic.
But that's the pressure of the door moving. She would feel that. So that I get that. That makes sense to me.
So give me some examples of fear reactions, other than the two you just gave, because they seem more like sensitive reactions.
I'm not talking fear reactions. I was saying fearful dogs versus sensitive dogs.
But what do you see in a fearful dog that tells you it's fearful
Their
versus sensitive?
posture, just their posture. They're always just a bit more submissive, laid back, really easy to live with.
Hmm.
I think Pippa probably was fearful. Like, just not that much dog there. She's just been a carefully built house of cards to make her believe that she's the best in the world. She would just retreat. She'd be on her own. She would never demand attention.
Hmm. She was Jane,
Jane?
plain Jane.
Yeah. Yeah. That to me is more fearful. Whereas with Sizzle, I never saw any of that. I just saw a wild child that couldn't handle certain things.
That was overwhelmed with life.
Yeah. Rupert was the same as Pippa. Just no one notice me. I'm just going to go about my day.
Not that anyone would notice.
Exactly. That's like little fearful Rupert back when. He just kind of quietly went on his day, hoped someone would see him along the way.
Give him a treat.
Or
Hopefully,
10.
hopefully they'll feed him.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think fearful doesn't have the self-esteem. Highly sensitive may or may not. It's more how they respond to stimuli coming at them from the outside world.
Okay. And that's funny because that now makes me compare young Sizzle to after we did all the work with her Sizzle. Because as a young dog, doing your boot camp, wandering around your property, she was running from everything. Remember, she bolted
Yeah,
and you
yeah,
put the
yeah, yeah.
collar on her?
Yep,
Yeah.
yep,
Now, as older, built up Sizzle, something might startle her, but she doesn't run.
right.
She's ready to take it on. Interesting.
But that is lacking confidence. So whenever you build confidence, the teeth may come.
Yeah, which is exactly what we see with her. Before she'd run, now she goes to teeth mode.
If needed. I
If
think
needed.
her tolerance is exponentially higher.
It is, and even when the teeth come out, they're not damaging. It's a lot of
Bluster.
yeah.
Going back to Leppy then, and maybe Leppy fits both categories here.
That's what I was gonna say. And even the
Because
fear.
he was feral.
Yeah, so the fear might be built.
As a second generation feral, there was no trust towards humans, period.
Yeah. Yep. How was he with dogs?
Shockingly good.
Which is weird because being feral, they're always waiting. If they're not the top dog, they're always waiting to get beaten up by the topper dogs.
But dogs are clear and honest in communication, so if you're attentive, you know how to get around that.
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, give us your input, people. Tell us what you think on highly sensitive dogs versus fearful dogs. But with the highly sensitive, I can think to most of my growl class and the dogs that I'm trying to pick in their seat. And when I talk to people on the phone, or Wendy talks to people on the phone, we try and pick fearful dogs. But that's only because that's a word that people know. And
Okay.
I'll take fearful dogs. I love working with fearful dogs. But the ones I want are the weirdos. And the weirdos I would define as highly sensitive, not necessarily fearful.
Okay. I just had a thought here. Your highly sensitive dogs are afraid of things. Your fearful dogs are just fearful, not necessarily of
Right.
things. They're just fearful.
Yes, exactly.
So fearful versus afraid of outside stimuli.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I think the weirdos don't know how to cope with set situations that they get themselves into. A fearful dog may not ever put themselves into that situation or try really hard not to.
Yeah. Okay.
But sometimes the highly sensitive dogs can be bold. And that boldness will get them into situations that they then have no idea how to deal with. And they're completely inequipped to be able to deal with it. And that's what I'm dealing with my one cattle dog, is that there's a boldness to him that he goes forward into situations, but then he doesn't have the confidence to be able to deal with that situation in an appropriate way.
Yeah.
So he goes full throttle.
Okay.
As I build up his confidence, the objective and hope here is that he can then go into these situations with more control, because he'll have the confidence to hold himself back and make clear decisions. A worried dog can, or a fearful dog cannot make clear decisions. And Wilbur is definitely shows fear too. Thus the penis tail he had when he came.
Yeah.
But that's part of his issue. That's not the issue. It's his boldness of him moving forward into situations that he then just has no idea how to deal with in an appropriate way. And that's my job as a trainer here with him. That's what I've been working on, is to try and coach him on how to handle himself in those situations. So part of sitting on the bench and brushing him was a situation he thought was hard. Not nearly as hard as other ones that he's going to have to learn to deal with. But for him at that moment in time, that was hard. And then I just had to teach him teeth weren't a possibility. Suck it up. Come up with different ways here, buddy.
Yeah. Learn in a less stressful environment.
Yeah.
It's kind of
So
like
he has to learn that, but then he has to the biggest issue with Wilbur is when he's in an arousing environment. So if other dogs were playing, if people get excited and loud, he goes in to bite. That's what he does. So
which
I've
is also part of the breed, right?
it is,
That's
but
bred
it
bred
is the
in there.
breed.
Yeah.
It is the breed. It is genetic. But
Yeah.
unless he's living on a cow farm,
Yeah.
he's going to pay for that big time.
Yep.
So my job is to try and teach him to rein it in,
Yeah.
which is very hard for him because he has big feelings.
Hmm.
He's such a cool dog. It's funny, some dogs just worm their way into your hearts fully, and he's one of them. I
Well,
really like this dog.
I really like the breed, but it's probably not one I should ever have.
I really admire the breed and I love working with them. I really do. But of the herding breeds, they are not the one I would pick, but I love them and I admire them very much. It's just Border Collies and Malinois got me.
And see, I'm the same with both of them. I admire them, but I
Yeah,
wouldn't want to have either one.
yeah,
But I would love to have a cattle dog.
yeah. I admire them greatly. I really do enjoy them.
Huh.
Yeah. Yeah, they're cool dogs, not for the faint of heart. Know if you're getting one, what you might be getting.
Yeah.
Like, you have to have some experience to have these dogs and succeed with these dogs.
Yeah. They're not an easy pet dog.
Yeah. Whereas my Labrador that I have right now, owner that injured himself, he's wild, wild. He gets a capital W on that word. But you can see deep, deep, deep inside there, he's a fantastic dog with a fantastic pedigree. Like, he's going to be an amazing young man. And it's all genetic. Like, he's just stable and nice. You just can't see it right now because he's so rude.
Huh.
But it's in there. He's the kind of guy right now because his life just hasn't been what he was hoping it would be because its owner has one leg.
Right.
Currently, he doesn't. The owner's fine. He has an injury, so he's not very stable on his two legs. I was hiking him and I pulled on a bit of grass and I was just like braiding it. And he soared through the air in the attempt to steal my blade of grass and bit my entire hand. That's the kind of boy he is right now. So there's a bit of growing up needed and a bit of training needed. And both of those must happen for him to become the super dog that he is genetically. But it's there. He's a lovely bred Labrador, which is very fortunate when you see that. Going into a home that will absolutely adore him. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's hard when they're not quite that dog. Oh, on that note, the little border collie I had that I was so worried about is living her best life on a sheep farm with cattle somewhere remote enough she can never get herself into trouble ever again. Yeah,
Nice.
she found what she needed. Thank the Lord, and thank you to her wonderful owner who
Wow.
just stuck by this dog from the beginning to the end and found her what she needed. There are happy stories that do come out of this, and I'm so relieved.
No kidding. That's a
I have
success.
caught up on sleep since she's been gone. Like, honestly, I'm sleeping like 14 hours a night some nights.
Oh my God.
Just the worry about her and the stress of dealing with her, having her out and about and not knowing what her future was, it weighs on you because she was such a special little dog. I really loved her. It
Nice.
adds up. If you actually care about these dogs, when you don't know where they're going, it's really hard on your soul.
Yeah. Oh, I'm so glad she found her perfect home.
I'm so glad. I'm so glad. And again, I can't speak highly enough of her owner. This woman went above and beyond for her dog. Knowing that she had to place her, she went above and beyond to make sure that she could get the best that she could get for her dog.
Nice.
Yeah. Some people are so classy and others aren't.
Yep.
Yeah. You
It's a balance.
come up with all types. And it's so sad because I have to say that 95% of my clients are like the border collie's mum. Maybe not as classy as she is, but a super, super people standing by their dogs willing to do whatever.
Yep.
But it's that 5%
Yep.
that burn you out.
Yeah. And they feel like 90%.
They do. It feels like the complete opposite. So it's that 5% that stick in your brain and exhaust you and burn you out.
Yep.
Even though there's so many happy stories and amazing people on the other side.
Yep. The bad stuff, the bad memories hold on always
Yeah.
more so than the good memories.
Yeah.
Just like people are faster to complain on social media than they are to throw somebody a bone and praise them.
I have had almost a full week with minimal social media. I have gotten away from my cell phone for a week.
Nice.
It has been very freeing.
I noticed that.
My
Just got,
disappearance.
you just got away from your telephone as well.
I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you're back at work, so I can't talk to you at work.
True, true.
Yeah. But yes, I've gotten rid of my phone. So I have listened to, I think, 3 audiobooks in a week.
Nice.
At the house, my phone's away from me. I'm trying to learn a new tablet I got unsuccessfully, so that's where part of it's going. But this tablet also is not connected to any of my other devices, so you don't get the distraction factor on it.
Nice.
I'm quite excited. I need to get my focus back. I've lost a lot of my focus.
I was
So
just going to ask when's the next book coming out then, since you now have this
I would
non Wi-Fi tablet.
my goal first I have to learn how to use this stupid thing. My goal is Christmas holidays, but I've no idea if that's realistic. Just my part of it.
Christmas, Christmas, like a week from now.
Yeah, these holidays. I have 2 weeks.
Okay.
That's my hope. But
Right.
I need to understand the direction for it in my head first before I can do it.
Right.
So I'm getting there, I think. And I think that's why I've been sitting on it because it isn't completely clear in my head yet.
Okay.
And it's getting clearer.
It will get there.
Yeah. All right, Jilly, thank you for talking to me. All
All
right.
right.
Thank you.
Okay. See you next Tuesday.
Bye.
Bye.